This is not a man you want to invite over to dinner. After seeing what he did, no. Anyone that can summon a creature that can only be summoned through ill intent, like murderous intentions, and can summon it like that casually, by just saying, I wonder how much it is needed to summon. And he just puts his hand on the stalled person, and this gigantic herald just pops up. Any man that can do something like that, that's not a good man, okay? I'm just gonna say right now, I'm wondering about what he was thinking. What was Juri's father thinking in that moment? Because we have seen examples of people trying to summon the handlers, and it doesn't work out, okay? We've even seen someone to where it looked like they were about to do it, but they stop. But in this moment, you had it toward Juri's father. He just put his hand on the stalled, and it was like, I wonder how much ill intent it takes for to summon them, and they just pop up, like, yo. Like, whatever thoughts he had in his head in that moment, you know it was some really dark stuff, like some really heinous stuff for something like that to happen. Now, this automatically makes the father very fascinating as a character, because for him to be able to summon the handlers just like that, after everything we have seen already from, Kokkoku, that means that man is going to be very, very important for the future of this series. Like, I don't think it's just the fact that he might, cause some problems for our cast of characters, like turn them into, the people, the cult and all that, trying to gain the Master Stone. I don't think it's going to be just like that now. After seeing that little detail, I feel like there's just much more going on here. Like, I feel like the father, he has the potential to be like the final villain of the series. I'm not even joking. I know he obviously cares kind of about his family in a way. But at the same time, for him to be able to do something like that, think about something like murderous intent like that, to be able to summon a herald, that just means that the man has some really bad thoughts. And it makes me wonder, for him to have those type of thoughts, like, that doesn't just happen, okay? Let's go on that limb real quick, okay? Majima, she was trying to kill an innocent person, well, fake killing an innocent person, because she was trying to summon the heralds to bring back her family. Okay. And she was trying to force herself. That was her trying to force those intentions. But the way Juri's father was able to easily do something like that, that means that the man has obviously fought those thoughts before in real life, okay? So it isn't the first time. And the question is, who? Who has he been thinking about with those type of thoughts? I mean, looking at the relationship with him and his father, something tells me it might be something like that. I want to go and take an educated guess here and assume that Juri's father is probably thinking those horrible thoughts about the grandpa, best grandpa. Something tell me that. You want to know why? It's because it's obvious that the grandpa's not going to live. I've already said this multiple times, okay, in my reviews of Kokkoku. He's that type of character that you know is going to die. He's a cool character. He's like this mentor type character. He knows a lot. He's that type of character that just won't live long, okay? Because he's very important. I mean, he's even able to, like, teleport and all that, okay? He's important. It's just, like, the way his character's designed, it seems like he's gonna die. And looking at his interactions with his son, for instance, Juri's father, it looks like, they're not on, like, good terms. Like, they don't like each other in some ways. And maybe because the father of Juri was without a job, and the way he acted, the way he was kind of being a little bit of a lazy person at the beginning of the series, maybe he's blaming a lot of things that happened in his life on his father. And when you look at the scene, since the grandpa was right next to his son, maybe he was thinking those bad thoughts because he was looking at his father. I'm just saying. I'm just pointing out some details here, because that does not happen. Majima, she gets her closure, okay, to her family. The whole problem with her family. And I feel bad for Majima and how she lost a lot. I've discussed this already, so I'm not going to rehash what I said in my last review. But Majima, she got her closure to where she's able to move on now. She's able to realize that even though her family is dead, she got to see them, and she can at the very least realize that they're no longer eternally suffering, or, you know, they're no longer, you know, still alive in the world of the stall, that they can rest in peace finally for the first time in a very long time. So it's closure for her, and I'm very surprised of how quickly this segment of the story got concluded. I figured that the whole stuff with Majima might have lasted until around episode 8, 9, something like that, and then we would get into the final part of the series with, you know, trying to escape, but that does not necessarily seem to be the case, because this is episode 6, I think? Yes, episode 6 or 5 of Kokkoku, and it already has that plot point settled. So yeah, I'm just very curious now, like, what's next after, you know, that already being settled with Majima. And it does seem like Majima overall doesn't really hold any ill intent towards, you know, Juri's family, because we see that multiple times throughout this episode. Actually, let's talk about that ill intentions that, you know, Majima would have towards, you know, Juri's family. So I discussed this briefly in my last video, talking about how it's very kind of shocking that Majima doesn't have any resent or anger towards Juri or the family, because when you think about the reason what happened to her family, why her family's dead in the first place, is because Juri didn't want to let go of her dog. She didn't want to say goodbye to her dog, which then they went to stasis, and that was the final moments. And yes, it's sad, don't get me wrong about what happened to the dog, but all of that, everything that happened to Majima's family was thanks to that one little moment, and that's, I can understand why someone would be angry about that, okay? Let's just be real here. You'd be angry too if you found out about that. And, I mean, there is a likely case that maybe Majima doesn't know, but even still, though, Juri's family technically ruined, okay, Majima, okay, ruined her entire childhood, ruined her family, everything. She has a right to be angry, but from looking at everything, she's not necessarily angry. She doesn't seem to necessarily hate Juri's family. She doesn't want to go out of her way to cause them harm. She just wants to have her family back. She just wanted to have her family be able to rest in peace. So there was no malicious intent at all, which I appreciate that. But at the same time, there was a contrast to that in this episode. Besides Majima obviously showing that she's not angry, Juri was someone very, very aggressive, and someone that had malicious intent as well. We even see that she won't forgive Majima. She's like, I won't forgive you and all that for what you've done. Like, she won't forgive a person. And then, you know, she's getting really snappy and angry at the dude that was helping out Majima and watching over the kid, Makoto and all that, which shows that she's a very angry person that won't forgive people. And it's a completely, like, it's like a opposite, the exact opposite of Majima and how she's acting. Juri's acting the exact opposite. She just won't forgive people. And we've already seen earlier on, in like the first episode of Kokkoku, that Juri was actually about to summon a handler. You remember that a while back? Like when, you know, she saw what happened to her brother Tsubasa, and then, you know, the little nephew, and she got really angry, and you saw like the handler pop up. You saw like a brief little shading of it, and then the grandpa's like, hey, let's get out of here. It shows that she also has very bad and ill thoughts as well, similar to her father. And so, she's also not all completely right in the head. She seems like someone that holds grudges, someone that is not entirely a good person. So, I like that little detail. That was definitely a big obvious portion of this episode, what they were trying to show, the contrast between Juri and Majima. So Tsubasa, as we know, he is the brother that is a shut-in. He is someone that lost everything. He didn't want to leave. He was just playing games. So that was his characterization that he got in, you know, the first episode and so on and all that. And we already have had many theories talking about the fact that he most likely was going to turn into a handler, because we already saw that he had like the little specters coming out of his body, like the jellyfish. So it looked like he was potentially going to become a handler. Now, he was becoming one in this episode, but Juri saved him in time, so he's not dead. So that was clarified. However, though, Tsubasa, he surprised me. He surprised me with his will to live. I mean, it really just shows what humans do when they're pushed up against the corner. It's a very real segment of the episode, because no matter what you are, who you are, no matter if you are a horrible person or a good person or shut-in, whatever, your instincts, your survival instincts are going to be kicking into high gear. You're going to want to survive. That's just how we are as people. At the end of the day, when we fear death, when death is coming at us, we don't want to die. And you will fight to the very last tooth and nail for you to survive. That's just how people are, okay? You can say whatever you want. That's just how we are as a species. Those survival instincts, they kick in. And Tsubasa, as a shut-in NEET, those survival instincts, they kicked in. The man was using a towel to block the knife coming in, and then eventually he managed to overpower the dude because of survival instincts, adrenaline, all of that, pinned the dude down, and just started to make it to where he couldn't breathe anymore, and the man died. It was a very disturbing scene. I'm not even gonna lie. It was a very disturbing scene. But it also shows, once again, that you should never, ever try to corner a human being. They will do things that they normally wouldn't want to do. A person that would never want to harm an individual will harm an individual because you forced them into that position. And it shows a very different, like, contrast to Juri and her father compared to Tsubasa. Even though Tsubasa committed a horrible act, technically he killed someone, you can't really still say he's a bad person, because you could see after that scene was done, he looks at his hands. His hands are shaking and all that. He's looking at his hands, and then all of a sudden you see it to where he's about to become a handler, which means that he just doesn't want to live, basically. Like, he just doesn't know what to do. And so he lost himself. So obviously he was racked by guilt and all that in that moment, which shows he is a good dude. At the end of the day, Tsubasa is a good guy. He's not a, a heinous individual, and that's what happened. So I thought that scene at the beginning was a very disturbing, but real scene that I appreciate from Kokkoku. I like that. It's a good episode. Like, I will say that this series continues to impress me week by week. It is definitely underrated and underwatched. And I just wish more people watch this. It saddens me when I look at, like, the views these videos get, I upload when it comes to Kokkoku, how low they are compared to other things, and it just lets me realize that this series isn't watched as much, and just, like, it saddens me. It's just like how I feel about March Comes In Like a Lion. It's a very good series, but just not many people really want to watch it because it's just, like, people not interested in it, and it's just sad. It's very sad. Hopefully more people, appreciate Kokkoku and they actually continue to watch it and all that, because, I mean, it's a fantastic series from Winter of Anime 2018. But with that, I'm going to end this video here, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like, and I love you guys. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.